Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters, and debunkers. I just want to highlight a video I put out before Will Duffy and co. went off to Antarctica to see the sun going around them, in which I said, hey, if you are going to go and focus on the sun instead of actually trying to measure curvature on the surface of the Earth, why don't you predict, according to your globe model, how sunspots will appear to different people in different locations, including and especially Antarctica. And Will did comment on this video, so we'll go and look at that and we'll compare it with what he's said since returning. And straight away you can see that he's not going to make a prediction, but he's trying to create this kind of ultimatum again with a question. And he says, when you pull up time and date around 12 minutes, do you think those locations would see the same sunspots or different sunspots? Okay, so trying to turn it on me and make a prediction. So, okay, here is the Mercator map I used on timeanddate.com just to illustrate an example of where the sun would be at a certain time and how people in different locations could then make sun observations. Okay, so his question based on this resource that I used to illustrate the point was, when you pull up that, do you think these locations would see the same sunspots or different sunspots? My response, I don't know for sure. Probably the same ones, but at a different orientation would be good to find out. Hey. And then again, he's coming back with a question to me. And then, why would you think they would see the same sunspots in those locations that are all on opposite sides of the sun? Okay, so he's twisted my honest response of saying, I don't know for sure, to then saying, well, why do you think they would see the same sunspots in those locations? And so I responded, why would you assume they see opposite sides of the sun? And his response is because on a flat Earth, they are on opposite sides of the sun. Well, who says? Why are you saying that? What has this got to do with any predictions for a globe model? This is just a distraction, just as the whole observing the sun is a distraction from measuring the level Earth. Okay, so he's telling me they're on opposite sides of the sun. So I kind of, what is flat Earth in your assumption? I came back with that because he's telling me it doesn't work on a flat Earth for some reason. Okay, oops. And then his response is disregarding topographical items like mountains and hills, a flat plane. And so, my question, where does the sun fit into all this? And again, he's making an assumption. If the Earth is a flat plane, then those locations you pointed out would not see the same side of the sun. Well, this is ridiculous. When you think about the moon, we all see the same side of the moon. Now, there's an explanation for that in the heliocentric model. They say the moon is actually rotating, but we don't see it because we're going at a similar pace and blah, blah, blah. You never see the back end of the moon. Yeah? This isn't something that is necessarily known or proven. And so I said, can you not make the exact same assumption that we would see opposite sides of the sun no matter the shape of the Earth, if you assume the sun to be a sphere? And I'm saying it could be anything, concave, convex. You can illustrate this in many ways orthographically. Try it. The results are the same, just as represented in the Mercator projection used on time and date. So, my point has always been no matter what you see in the sky, it is open to interpretation. It doesn't prove a map or the shape of the Earth or anything. We all see the same thing. Just many of us understand that it can be interpreted in many, many ways. Okay, and what I wanted to do, the whole point of me going over this is to show you that he's assuming that if the Earth is a sphere and the sun is 93 million miles away, only half of the globe could see the sun, and all of them would see the exact same side of the sun. Again, that has no relation on the shape of the Earth, whether the sun is local or far away or what size it is, but it is good to know that their globe model also is this 93 million miles away sun. They have to assume that for everything that we see in order to say, oh, we're looking at the same thing together. Okay, so he's saying, I'm not assuming that. I'm simply making a point that if the sun is really far away, as it is on the globe model, well, not again. You mean the heliocentric model. There are geocentric globe models, but you're not looking into that, are you? Okay. So everyone would see the same side of the sun. That can't be said on flat Earth. Again, a total false dichotomy. It's the usual distraction tactics. And then he's assuming that there is a model. Okay, he's assuming there's a flat Earth model and a globe Earth model. But we'll see what he says about that in a second. Yeah. And so I point out that you can't be sure you're seeing something 93 million miles away in the first place. And so he says, I think the sun is 93 million miles away on the geocentric model as well. Okay, I pointed out the whole kind of geocentric thing. Well, I don't know about that. I honestly don't know about that. Anyway, again, reiterated that he needs to be focusing on curvature. Okay, so I explained that you'll need a scientific explanation and demonstration of why the sun and the moon, much closer in your model, appear to do exactly the same thing. Okay, so again, I'm pointing out that whatever you see the sun do in terms of the rotation of the sunspots, you will also see the same effect happening with the moon. Does that prove a model? No, it's just what we're looking at in the sky. And then you can think about what that means as to if the sun and the moon are doing the same thing, apparently, like cartwheeling across the sky, well, then how can one be further away than the other and blah, blah, blah? Yeah, they all appear to be doing the same thing. So that was basically, you see, that was the challenge. I said, okay, model it. Will Duffy's very keen on talking about the globe model is the only thing that makes the predictions. So I said, okay, model it. Show us a model with this 93 million mile away sun, if you like. Model it. How we can see these sunspots, yeah? Let's see what they come up with. Can they come up with a model that puts the sun 93 million miles away but keeps it 400 times larger than the Earth, or whatever size it's supposed to be? But let's just quickly go and look at what Will Duffy has recently said about models.
So someone named Love Morgan Love and Grace just commented and said, where is your model, Will? Still waiting from your debate with Flatzoid. You never produced your globe model. Where is it? I did. I had a globe with me during that discussion. And the globe model is easy to research and to look up. The globe model makes predictions.
Okay, this is a really important point to understand, is that all of these globers are sticking with this narrative that only the globe model predicts things. That's totally false. There's nothing predictable about the ground. They're not making predictions about the ground. They are making predictions about what we see in the sky. And so we got a sky model. That's what we've got. And they've transposed this sky model to a globe. All right? What we see in the sky has no bearing on what the Earth is. And the Earth is measured level. Okay? So when we look into the sky, we see things happening and they are predictable. So whatever we see in the sky has been predicted for thousands and thousands of years, way before people came up with a globe model. That simply transposes what we see happening in the sky into two hemispheres, which are just hemispheres of perspective, domes of perspective, if you like, for individual observers depending on where they are. That's it. That's what the model is, yeah? So he's claiming to have exclusivity to predictions because he can hold up a plastic globe. Now, so far, they've done nothing else except that. He said, that's my model, okay? A globe. A plastic globe is his model. And then the rest is all these explanations and assumptions, like the sun being 93 million miles away, yeah? So this is totally false. This is a totally dishonest, false claim to make, that the globe makes all these predictions of what's in the sky. It's a sky model, not a globe model. And we all can use the same thing because nothing changes about what we see in the sky. But what does change is that the Earth is flat and level, and that does not fit with the globe model. And again, that's why this is a total distraction. All of this is just a distraction from the fact that there is no measurable curvature. Anyway.
And those predictions come true. As I mentioned before, I'm still waiting for a single globe prediction, future globe prediction, that has a geographic location, a date, and a time that flat earthers think will not come true, because the Earth is a flat stationary plane and not a rotating globe.
Again, total misrepresentation of the whole thing. Totally. Yeah. Because again, no one is claiming that changing the map or assuming a different shape of the Earth changes what we see going on in the sky. Again, it's a sky model. All that's ever been modeled is what we see happening in the sky. And that doesn't change, no matter what you assume the Earth to be. It can be translated into numerous models, yeah? And anyone can dream up explanations to go with it.
The reason there is no flat Earth model is because you can't model something that doesn't exist.
Okay, so now, after the premise of this entire trip to Antarctica, spending a lot of money, creating a lot of publicity about this false dichotomy, saying that the AE map is your flat Earth model, he's now saying you don't have a model. Okay, well that's actually what we've all been saying. Everyone else has been saying, apart from the people that agreed to go along and say, yeah, well, okay, I represent flat earthers and I represent their model, and that's an AE map, yeah? I didn't see anyone hear or hear anyone protesting against that, yeah? Apart from everyone else who wasn't going. Trying to tell him ahead of time that no, in all honesty, we don't have a model, because we know that anything that's ever been modeled is just the sky, yeah? We can all use stellarium and things like that. What does stellarium show you? It shows you what's happening in the sky. No one's contesting that. No one contests the fact that you can make predictions. We just all understand that you can make all manner of models, but you're going for a heliocentric model without the fundamental measurement of the prediction that it makes of 8 inches per mile squared. That's what the prediction you should be focused on.
So that's the problem. So for example, flat Earth will never be able to model the exact path of totality for a total solar eclipse, because you can't do that, because flat Earth doesn't exist. The only way to model that is if you're dealing with something that does exist.
All right, let's get this straight, yeah? He's just claimed that you cannot make a model on something that doesn't exist. If something's not been known to exist, then you cannot make a model from that. So let's just go back to a response video that he made to my sunspot video, where I also said you should be measuring curvature, not just looking at sunspots in a final experiment, in inverted commas, and see what he says there about the existence of things and being able to make models. Remember, he just said that you need to have something exist. It must be known to be in existence before you can model it. Now, I've already suggested to Will Duffy, the organizer, that they could do some curvature measurement experiments. Again, if there was going to be a final experiment that would prove the globe or disprove the flat Earth or vice versa, then what you need is a measurement of curvature. But I would say that not one single participant that is going along here on the globe Earth side, that is willing to do such an experiment.
You'll need to forgive me here, but I'm a very analytical thinker. This definitely gets me in trouble at times, but it is what it is. Now, curvature does not need to be measurable to exist. I need you and all other flat earthers to acknowledge this.
Of course, he needs flat earthers and all other people to acknowledge that you actually cannot measure curvature. So there is an admittance that you cannot measure curvature, and as predicted, no one claiming to believe that we live on a globe will actually attempt to make any measurement of curvature. They will just make excuses for not being able to measure it. Let's hear what this ridiculous excuse is.
If something cannot be measured, that doesn't mean it's not curved.
All right. So it just goes to show that the heliocentric model is built on a sky model. It's not built on any measurements ever made of the Earth itself. They know this. They know the Earth is measured flat. They know they cannot measure any curvature. They can only assume it by transposing their sky model. And again, you just got to remember that flat Earth is based on, it's a perspective model. It's a model of the sky, unrelated to the Earth. But they have taken this and plastered it onto the Earth and then claimed that it's impossible to measure curvature.
It just means it can't be measured.
Yeah, there you go. Curvature can't be measured, said by Will Duffy. And he goes on to make some ridiculous comparisons and just more excuses as to why you cannot ever measure curvature. Okay, another bold claim, yeah? And again, just trying to create this totally false dichotomy. Flat Earth, this is the difference. Flat Earth exists. It definitely exists. It is our reality. It is measured level. And Duffy and a few of these other people have already admitted, we can't measure curvature. It's impossible to measure curvature because it doesn't exist in reality. Yeah? In reality, the Earth is level. And all they've got is looking up at the sky, and to make a claim that you can't make a prediction based on a model is ridiculous because, again, we all make the same predictions from a sky model. No one's contesting that. We're contesting the shape of the Earth. We're telling you that reality is level. You're ignoring that and pointing at the sky. Which now, hopefully you found out, you should know by now, and others should know from all this publicity, that no, we're not all in agreement. And that's fine. That's the whole thing. This is an ongoing investigation. The one thing we are in agreement is that in reality it's flat. And you've agreed too, Duffy and co., that you can't measure any curvature. Hence this desperation to distract from that obvious prediction of your model. Anyway, let's listen to more.
So anyway, just remember that. My model is very robust. It's
No, it's not. There's no curvature. Your model is a plastic globe. In reality, there's no curve. Can't be measured.
the globe model. It makes thousands and thousands and thousands of future predictions. No one's time traveling. And the predictions always come true.
Yeah. Okay. So this now goes back to the video here, where the point of my video was to make predictions. Make predictions of how the sunspots will appear according to the globe model. Apparently you can make thousands of predictions. It's easy. So they should have that model in place and see if the observations fit the model. But no, what they're going to do, we'll see, is just take those observations and assume that if, this is his get out of jail free card. Remember what Duffy said here? He said, basically, if we see the same sunspots in different locations, the Earth must be a globe with a sun 93 million miles away. That's his prediction. Yeah, and basically saying that, and also saying that if it's on a flat Earth, you shouldn't all see the same sunspots. Basically assuming that we're going to see a different side of the sun, so we wouldn't see the same sunspots. Yeah, just a bunch of assumptions, false dichotomy, and yeah, no predictions whatsoever as to what they might observe. Nothing in that of that nature. So now we'll just go back to what he said at the end of this talk about sunspots.
Of pictures of the sun using a solar filter to get the sunspots. And what do you know? It's the exact same sunspots everybody else was getting all over the world.
Okay, so there you go. He's kind of, that's the prediction that he made, is that we'll all see the same sunspots no matter where we are. And so if that's the case, then that proves my globe model and disproves your flat Earth model, because according to me and my assumption about your flat Earth model, which you don't have, then the sun, you wouldn't see the same side of the sun from these different locations. So, he's just deliberately creating confusion and protecting himself for not being able to make a prediction as to what the sunspots will be. Where's your model, Will? Where's your model showing us how the sunspots will orient? Yeah? Doesn't have one. Yeah, hasn't made a prediction. The only prediction he's made is that we'll all see the same sunspots, but they'll be in different orientation.
The orientation of those sunspots, by the way, is different. It'll be interesting to see if that aligns with the globe or not.
Again, how are you going to align it with the globe? What are you going to do? Where's your model, Will? Just a plastic globe? Is that it? Is that all you got? But then how are you going to compare that to the non-existent flat Earth model? So that we either do or don't have a model, Will. Which one is it? Yeah? You either can or can't make predictions based on your model. Where is it? Where's your model making all these predictions? Because, again, all you got is a sky model. Yeah? But no one ever really started looking into this. And, again, what I pointed out in my video was that the sun and the moon will appear to rotate in the same way. Okay? So, if you're going to see the moon, you'll see that as well. But this is the interesting point, isn't it? If we can see sunspots rotating, appearing to rotate or cartwheel, and we can see the moon doing the same thing, yet in the Will Duffy globe model, which is a heliocentric model, not a geocentric model, then how come we see the same thing happening with the sun and moon, given that they're supposed to be vastly different distances apart and different sizes? We don't see either side of the moon. We all see the same face of the moon. And so what's wrong with us all seeing the same face of the sun? Which fits perfectly with flat Earth sky model. Yeah. So while Will Duffy failed to come up with any predictions based on his presupposed heliocentric model, I can make a prediction based on real-life observations and not based on any presuppositions of a model, not based on any assumptions of what the sun and the moon are, just observations in the real world. And that is that whatever apparent rotation we see of the sun due to the orientation of the sunspots in any given location, that person in the same location will also see a similar apparent rotation of the moon. So basically, whatever we see the sun appearing to do, we will also see the moon appearing to do the same thing. For me, near the equator in Phuket, I see a flipping of the sunsets of the sunspots. As the sun goes overhead, and the same happens with the moon. When making observations north of the equator, I've done mine in the UK, we see this apparent clockwise rotation of sunspots, and we also see an apparent clockwise rotation of the moon. And when you're south of the equator, you see an apparent anti-clockwise rotation of the sun with the sunspots, and the same anti-clockwise rotation of the moon. So this tells me, without any model, that the sun and the moon appear to be very close and not vast distances apart. And this destroys the heliocentric model with an assumption that the sun is 93 million miles away and the sun is less than 1 million miles away. because what we actually see in reality is the sun and the moon behaving in very, very similar ways that puts them at about the same distance from Earth, wherever that is, if they are physical objects, and it tells us that they are doing the same apparent thing. But in the heliocentric model, they're supposed to be doing vastly different things. We are supposed to be going around a stationary sun, where the moon is apparently going around us, but at a month at a time. However, what we see throughout a single day is an apparent rotation of the sun, with the sunspots appearing to rotate, and an apparent rotation of the moon. Just depends which side of the equator you are on. So I can't really predict for sure how they will appear in Antarctica, just as I wouldn't be able to necessarily predict how they would appear north of the equator, because I don't have a model. I'm not making those predictions. All I'm saying is that we will see the same apparent rotation for both celestial objects, or whatever you assume them to be. And that destroys the globe Earth model. Thank you very much. Click subscribe and the bell icon if you'd like to receive notifications of new videos from Phuket Word.